Hi, my name is Sarah, and I wanted to do a demo of a JavaScript project I have worked on, give kind of a high-level overview of what's happening, and share some changes that I have made to my code. So what you're looking at is a map of earthquake data. So this data is being pulled from the USGS website about earthquakes in the past 7 days. Each of the points represents a different earthquake, and the color and size of the circle correspond to the magnitude. So the darker and the bigger the circle, the more intense the earthquake. There are also points with a darker border. These are points that have a magnitude of 4.5 or greater, and we can also see the fault lines here. So when we click on any of the points, we see a pop-up that shows the magnitude of the earthquake and the location. We also have different views. So right now we're looking at it as a street view. We also have satellites and dark views. And we can also pick and choose the overlays that we want to see. So it's kind of fun to play around with. So looking at the structure here, we have an HTML page. We also have some CSS styling, and then our code is stored in a JavaScript file. For this project, we are using the Mapbox API. So I have an API key, and it's being stored in this config file. So you'll notice that this file is grayed out. This is because this file is untracked by GitHub. It is stored locally on my machine, and I am accomplishing that using a git ignore file. So any of the files listed in here will not be pushed to GitHub. And that is just a safe measure to keep, my sensitive information, credit card information, private. So really the core of this project, what we're doing is we're using this D3 library to access the GeoJSON data. And then we are using the leaflet library to plot the points on a Mapbox map using the API. So we kind of set it up using the documentation from Leaflet. So we set up the different tile layers. You'll notice that there's the street view, satellite view, and the dark view. And then we store those in a variable. So we're going to use this variable and add a control, which basically just lets the user interact with those different views on the map. So we're also going to use Leaflet to create a map object. And then we'll declare the variables. We'll make another Leaflet object for each of the variables, store those variables in, I guess, just another variable. And then same thing, we're going to add a control so that we can interact with them on the map. So we have, just kind of going through it at a high level, and then we'll kind of wrap back around. So we have a website link for all of the earthquakes that have happened this week. This is for all of the earthquakes. We have a second link for all of the major earthquakes, so anything that is 4.5 or greater. We have our tectonic plate data, and then we add a legend. So if I click on this link here, just to kind of show you what we're looking at. So we have the GeoJSON data. I have a plugin, so it makes it nice and easy to look at. So really what I want to focus on is this kind of, here it is, down here. So we have features, we have the properties, and then we have the magnitude and the place. So you'll see that down here. So basically what this code is saying, let's back up a little bit. Oh, sorry, I'm going to start from all of the earthquakes. Okay. So we're using this D3 library to access this data. And then after we access the data, then we're going to perform a function on it. So we have our styling here. So we have the style, we have color and magnitude variables, and then we have the functions, the get color and the get radius function that we have called here. So for each feature that is returned, we want to style the circle. So I guess down here really is that feature property magnitude. So we're going to return the magnitude, and we're going to use this get color function to figure out what color it is. So this get color function is going to use the colors defined above. So it's going to say if the magnitude is greater than 6, we want it this color. If it's greater than 5, we want it this color. And it just kind of worked out that, we have magnitude 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. So that worked out really nice. So we have the same thing kind of going on for the radius. If it's an earthquake, we want it to be visible to the viewer. So we have multiplied it by 4, just to, make it a little bit more visually intuitive looking at it. So I think that's all I want to say about the styling. And then we kind of get back into actually making the points. So we see this process for all earthquakes, and then we see it again for major earthquakes. So what we're doing with the data that we retrieve, we want to make a circle marker, and then we want to style that circle, and then we want to bind a pop-up to it. And then after we've done that, we want to add it to the all earthquakes variable. And then we want to add that all earthquakes variable to the map. We do the same thing for the major earthquakes. The difference between the filter for all earthquakes and major earthquakes is the weight of the border. I thought that it was a little more intuitive to look at something with a thicker border rather than choosing the same style. So when I first, you'll see these numbers here. And that's because I took a data analytics course, and kind of the way that we went about exploring this topic was they gave us kind of instructions for what to do. So originally they just wanted, style it the same, but what I'm trying to get at is my personal opinion as a visual person is that it makes more sense to have a thicker border to, I guess, differentiate between regular earthquakes and major earthquakes. It's a lot easier for me to pull out more quickly. So this is another difference that I had from my original code. So originally, I guess I'll just kind of pull it up. So you can see that I'm reusing the code here, which means that I am just calling on these functions up here that already, not this one, this color, the color properties, the magnitude, how we get the color, how we get the radius. So I'm just using those different functions and repeating them. This was different than originally. Originally, I had written out, I'll show you, it's not very great, but I think it demonstrates my ability to refactor code or give it a good shot. So we see that kind of looking through, what I want you to focus on is all the different colors that I've listed. So we have colors up here. We have colors listed again. We have colors listed down here. So there was a lot of repetition of adding colors. And that made my code, I guess, like, it just wasn't the best practice. So that's, I guess, something that I have updated in going back, is to store the colors in one place and then to use those colors to color the markers appropriately. Yep, so just quickly, I guess, going through, same thing, we're going to style the function or the markers for the major earthquakes just a little bit different. Reuse the code to change the color and the radius. And then with the data, we make a marker, we style the marker, we add a pop-up to it, and then we add it to the major earthquakes variable, and then we add that major earthquakes to the map. Lastly, we access the data about the tectonic plates. We store it in a variable, and we, I guess, cycle through creating a legend. So same thing, we're using those colors that we have defined above to loop through and say, okay, for this color, this magnitude, how does it correspond, and visually just display it in a little legend down here. So I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I will put the link to my repository and down below. And thank you for watching.